Hi everyone, it's Amanda. How are you doing? So this video is probably going to trigger some people, but I'm afraid someone's going to have to say it and nobody is saying it. So looks like it's me again. Yesterday, you might have noticed that a certain 99-year-old man died in the UK. I wasn't feeling particularly well yesterday, and I didn't particularly want the flack that I knew would come if I dared to say rest in peace to Prince Philip. And here's the nub before everybody shoots me down in flames. It strikes me that a lot of the people that are demanding, rightfully, free speech will silence anybody that they don't like the message of. So there was a spiritual teacher, won't name them, yesterday, who on good old Facebook yesterday just put up a photograph of Philip and said, rest in peace. They were immediately attacked, as you would probably expect, from the spiritual community, with comments along the lines of, oh dear, I thought you were awake. You're obviously not awake if you're wishing him peace. Implications being, of course, that the assumption is, correct or not, I've no idea, and the truth is neither do you, that he is a reptilian, that he is guilty of crimes against humanity. Who's to know? You can watch videos out there, you can read material, and you can come to a conclusion that that might be the case. David Icke has been saying things like that for the last 20, 30 years. Do you really think that somebody of a certain age who's been around the block a bit hasn't heard those theories? Can they still not say rest in peace, even if that was the truth? Because I'm afraid we're in masterclass now. And masterclass basically asks you to appreciate every single being on this planet as part of God, every single person on this planet, whether you think they were a good guy or whether you think they weren't. From a dualistic perspective as well, as I've taught with regards to the violet pill teaching, you have been all of it in other lifetimes. You've been the good guy and you've been the bad guy. You have been what you are now pointing fingers at in this lifetime that other people may or may not be. The other aspect is that no life is without beauty. I was, well, you can't really get away from it in the UK. There was like wall-to-wall coverage last night on the news. Well, not the news, just programmes linked into his life. And I was watching some of it because it's interesting and I actually happen to be interested in history. And ultimately, it will be history that judges any person on this planet if they are in a position of power, whoever they are, whether they're the Queen of England or whether they are somebody else. Let history be the judge. Let God be the judge as well. It's human ego that wants to judge. But yeah, one of the things that struck out last night for me was they were interviewing some man, I guess he's, I don't know, in his 30s now. And he was talking about the Duke of Edinburgh Awards scheme, which they said 7 million youngsters in this country have gone through the scheme. I don't know whether it's just in this country or whether it's in other countries as well. Duke of Edinburgh is something that a lot of youngsters aspire to. It's a challenge. It pushes them beyond their endurance. I live near the New Forest. You often in summer will see groups of youngsters sort of setting out into the wilderness, not really knowing where they're going, with a compass and a map, and it's teaching them life skills basically. Anyway, this young man was basically crediting Prince Philip for having completely and utterly changed his life from being in a prison cell. I don't know what he was, whether he was a burglar, whatever he was in a prison cell, was set on a life of crime, and then was offered the chance of Duke of Edinburgh award scheme and went for it, and it transformed and revolutionised his life. And he was talking very emotionally about that process. There is nobody on this planet who doesn't touch others in a profound way, in a way that we don't even realise. And I think we have to be balanced in our measurement of everybody, whoever they are in our world. And I also think it's very important that when people die who've been on the world stage for decades, certainly in the UK, there are very few people, unless you are in your 90s, who have ever known a time when the Queen and Prince Philip weren't there. Now, you can mock that, and you can ridicule people that believe in monarchy and say it's an outdated system, and that is your right. But what we don't have a right to do is to mock other people's emotion. I know in my own family, I often talk about my mum, my dear mum. She's said repeatedly over the last few months that she's dreading the day the Queen dies. And I know she's going to be absolutely devastated. So what are you going to do? Are you going to mock a woman in her 70s who has an understanding of who she believes the Queen to be and what the Queen has represented in her personal life, whether you have a different view of that Queen and what they may be or may not be? Are you going to mock that emotion? Because that is not mastery. Mastery is being able to allow every single person to have the experience and to come to their own conclusions about everything in this universe. So back to the comments that came in on this person's post yesterday about, oh, I thought you were awakened. You obviously don't know. I was really saddened to see that this person had taken the post down this morning. Basically, the mob mentality had made them take it down because they didn't want the flack, I guess. I posted something as a story yesterday here on Instagram because I just wasn't feeling up to the flack that comes when you talk about the royal family. But I'm feeling a bit brighter today, so hey-ho, we'll have a go. But really, I think it's very important to realise and see these people in our midst who rule us, whether they be a politician, whether they be a member of the royal family, whether they be part of the elite, which you think is, and you might be right, is corrupt or not. They're all playing the roles which they're meant to play at this time on our earth. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't have something to teach us. They wouldn't have something to show us. And I've channeled before over the years that the people that choose these big roles, they are usually very advanced, big souls. And that includes the ones that are not always the nice guys. And it's not making an accusation with regard to Philip. Okay, I'm not going to get into that because even if I said something, that would be my belief. I don't need to push my belief and my ego onto you. And all I'm basically asking us to consider on social media is that we don't always have to do that either. And what I really cannot stand, and I still struggle with, and this is just another lesson that's coming in for me because I need to master it, is that when I see people belittling other people for their beliefs, or trying to shoot them down in flames, or trying to stop them even speaking or having an opinion, because you can't have that opinion if you're awake. It doesn't follow the script that this man or this woman is 100% bad or evil. No, they're not. They can't be, because we are dualistic beings. We all have good and bad within us, often in equal measure. It's just which one do you feed? So truly, when you point the finger at anybody, whether it's somebody very high up in our society or whether it's somebody living in your street, you're actually pointing the finger at yourself. And I know not everybody will get this or like this message, but I feel it's an important one to share. So when the Queen eventually does pass, yes, I will do a video on it and I will say something about her. And it will be balanced in terms of what I believe she's given to this country, but equally maybe some of the flaws that are there as well. But please don't ever assume other people don't know what you know. Other people may just have come to a different conclusion. And if you're not at peace with that, then that's your inner work to still do. And if we want to just shut people up because we don't like what they say, that's not right. Is it? There's so many subjects, since I've been on social media, that over the last few years, I've just known it's so difficult to even broach because people try to shut you up. You can't say that. You can't talk about these things from a dualistic perspective. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that there might be light in that person. We just want to have the two camps that we know, the goodies and the baddies. That is elementary school level. At masterclass, you need to start to see people as souls who come in with a mission, as souls who are often dualistic, and that we're all actually teaching something to each other. So yes, I do say rest in peace, Prince Phillip. And I can do that, being able to see both sides of a man, some good, some maybe not so good. But I still say rest in peace. And I'll tell you the other thing that I was shown last night, and we need to really remember this when we are throwing stones at people, particularly on the day they die. God welcomes every single soul home exactly the same, because that's what unconditional love does. And that triggers us like hell. Because take it away from Phillip now, how can you welcome back so-and-so? What about me with all my bright light and all my good work that I've done? Well, I'm afraid God loves the sinner and the saint in equal measure. The energy of forgiveness, the energy of redemption, the energy of the fact that to God we're all just children. We're all still in school, we're all learning. You don't know where anybody else is along their path. And I think this is the problem with social media, that we forget that. Take care, guys. Have a good weekend. Much love. Bye for now.